Welcome back. This is the Roundtree Journey.
Let's go. All right, guys, so we see a lot of comments about people being encouraged by our journey that are going through IVF, thought about giving up, but we're excited to hear that this is inspiring others to continue their journey. So we wanted to, before going to additional videos, we want to take a moment to answer any questions that we have received and also share some of the things we learned on our journey throughout IVF, the ups, the downs, the twists and turns.
Yes, so I know a lot of people checked out our IVF update when we went through a second egg retrieval, and we finally received the news that we had 4 embryos that were going to get tested, and 2 came back perfectly fine. So a lot of people kind of asked the question of like, what did we do different versus the first time? So I wanted to answer that. So the first time when we received the news, we were devastated. So the first time when we did our first egg retrieval, we didn't do, we just went through the process like normal. Like we didn't do.
We did, and I think, just taking a step back, when I think about the first cycle of IVF, I think I was so naive. Everything that we did to lead up to that point, I just figured it was going to be easy, simple. Like we didn't have to, I didn't think we needed to do a whole lot. Like we've been through all this. When we actually get to doing IVF, it's going to be easy. We're people of faith, we prayed about it, and I just thought it was going to be so easy. And then when we went through the egg retrieval, went through creating the embryos with the egg and my sperm outside of the womb, and then we went through testing of the embryos to see the quality, are they viable for transfer. I just thought, okay, God, like we've been through all this. I've had 2 surgeries, you've had procedures. I was like, why are we even, there's no way God would have this happen. And so when we got the news that all of the embryos were abnormal, I was like devastated. I couldn't believe that because I had already envisioned it happening.
Right.
So when we, and then...
But also, not to like cut you off, but also like I feel like, and we will probably get into another in-depth video, but when we did our genetic testing before we even, went to get our embryos tested, we both found out that we were carriers of cystic fibrosis. And that is not normally found in African Americans. So with us both being carriers, when we first received the news, I kind of was like, oh my God, is it because of this? It was just a whole lot of things that were going through my mind of like, is this why this is happening? And so our fertility doctor, Dr. Johnson, she encouraged us and just, she wanted us to do additional tests. And we did the karyotype test. Both of us did the karyotype test. And we just really talked about it, prayed about it. And then we decided to move forward with our second round.
But before we move forward with the second round, and someone watching this that has gone through the first round and it was unsuccessful, we stepped back and took a break because the first cycle consumed our life. Mm-hmm. Every time we woke up, it was IVF, IVF, IVF. Every time we went to sleep, we were dreaming about our baby. Like it was everywhere. And I felt like that's not healthy because you have other things in your life that you should be pointing to and be grateful for, other things that are exciting. So the second, what we did before going to the second, we said, yo, what do we love to do most? Travel. Toronto. We went to Jamaica. We went to New York. And we just said, and I felt like we weren't thinking about IVF. And then we're like, finally we took a step back, like, all right, what are we gonna do coming into 2023? Like, what's gonna be 2022 towards the end? What are we gonna do? And we made a decision.
Yes, I think it was definitely like growing pain for us to like. We didn't do anything different far as like my body wise. Like I didn't take any additional supplements. I did change the way that I ate, you know, and just like my surroundings, like the people that were around me, like I just monitored that, set up boundaries, and just really protected my peace that second go round, because IVF can be a roller coaster, and if your mentals are not intact, a lot can go wrong really quick. And so I don't think I did much like internally to my body, and I don't think you can do anything internally to your body. I just believe that because we are faith believers, this second go round, since we kind of knew what, you know, everything entailed, we kind of went with the flow. We prayed about it. We celebrated our wins, as you can see from our previous videos, and we just continued on. There was times that I did want to give up, but I didn't. But yeah, we didn't do anything different. To answer your question, we didn't do anything physically to our bodies, like into my body, to his body physically, but we did change like some health habits.
Health habits. I feel like you did a lot of acupuncture.
Yes, which I will go into another video, because acupuncture, I highly recommend it for anyone out there that is going through IVF, or if you're not going through IVF, like it's a whole game changer of like keeping your mentals intact, because after you're placing the needles, you get to lay there for 30 minutes. And I learned how to meditate in the moment and not consume my mind with what's next, what's next, what's next. It was just a constant stillness that I had to be in on that table in acupuncture. But we'll get into another video on that, because that was another question of like acupuncture. Would you get acupuncture before you did IVF?
Yes.
So yeah, we'll get into another video.
But the second cycle was all, I felt like the first cycle was like a lot of physical, like, all right, I got it. Second try it was all mental. Like you were in therapy every week.
Yes.
Every week. You know, I was in therapy. I was talking to my bishop, I was talking to my mentor. So we only had like a handful of people that we were talking to, and it made what we were going through less heavy, because we had people we trusted that were praying for us, that were knowledgeable, to really speak over us and give us direction. So I didn't feel like there was a lot of weight in the second
for sure
cycle. It was more so, okay, we've been through this. We figured out our strategy for injections. We need to have a whole video on this. Injections and how to do that. Because I administered all the injections, and it was like we knew what to expect. There weren't any surprises, but the shift for us was like the mental and just protecting your peace.
Yeah.
Like being mindful of who could speak on our situation, who knew what we were going through. We created those boundaries, and I feel like that energy, all the energy around it was positive, and there was peace the second cycle.
Yeah. The question that we were getting, like, how did you know that IVF was gonna work? So going into IVF, I remember the consultation that we had with Dr. Johnson. Because it's either you're gonna get pregnant or you're not gonna get pregnant. I know that's the worst thing probably to say, but that's like the real deal, because nothing is guaranteed, as much so as like life. Like nothing is guaranteed in life. So we didn't know. But again, like just what we talked about, I think it was just like a faith thing, you know, in our spirit.
The whole thing is faith. IVF, you can either your insurance covers it or you pay out of pocket. There is no guarantee. But also, when you know that you have to go down this route and you're not able to conceive naturally, so you either don't have children or you go through this process or you adopt. So it's like you have to say, all right, I'm going through this process. And like you said earlier, I'm going to celebrate every win. I had a successful injection, good appointment. You're going to celebrate the little thing, and those added up to us getting a successful transfer and ultimately get pregnant. But you have to take the process like step by step. You can't jump to, okay, when I get pregnant, like you got to go to that first consultation.
Yeah.
And check, like you got to go through it and just be hopeful, prayed up, and positive throughout the process.
Yes.
And have the right doctors and nurses.
Yes.
Like we had a great clinic that like
That's
Dr. Johnson's energy, she was always like, we're gonna make this happen.
Like she was like,
yeah.
She was super excited for us before we were excited. It was just like,
she couldn't wait to tell us our results. And I remember like even after my surgery and everything I had to endure, and I just remember her saying, Marcus, we're having a genetic baby. Like it's gonna happen. Like we have more than enough what we need. We're having a genetic baby. And like if your doctor is not giving you that vibe, then you don't have the right doctor or clinic. Yeah. Everybody around you should be speaking life. This is a new life. And even after the day of your transfer, I remember we all put our hands on your stomach. Like we all sent good energy prayers. Like you gotta be very strategic about the vibe in your reproductive clinic.
And also we talked about like, if we were not able to conceive, what would life look like for us? Like we talked about adoption. Mm-hmm. We talked about a surrogate. Yeah. Surrogacy. We talked about what else did we talk about? Like just talking out loud of just like our next step. Like we talk about it now. Like what would life, be, moving forward. Now that we do have this child, like, do we want to go through it again, or do we want to adopt, or do we want to do something else? So I think like just like having options there available for you, just researching it, not too much, and just believing that this journey is for you. And how I did that was just like an isolation of like just hearing from God, because when a lot of people are around you, it's more so like, oh, it'll happen when it happens. And for me, I wanted to make sure that this was the journey that God wanted for us, and so I had to isolate. So that would be, my little 2 cents.
Yeah, but isolation, but also when you go through IVF, you have to expect people that expect the unexpected from new people. New people are gonna bring and speak over you that you might think is my family and friends, people I've known all my life. That's likely not gonna happen if they don't have any context to what IVF is. You'll spend more time educating them on what you're going through while you're still going through what you're going through. And I feel like the first cycle we exerted a lot of energy trying to educate people about what we were going through while we were dealing with, okay, we just found out this terrible news that we had. So like try to find your tribe, and your tribe is going to look different, and that's cool. Yeah. Like there are people that really helped us that are like, man, you were there with us in this journey, and we thought you would be someone else, but it was different people, and you got to embrace that.
Another question was, how did you guys pay for IVF?
We need a whole video on this one.
I'm just gonna summarize it. This is like not even the breaking point. So again, we've been on this journey for 4 years. Mm-hmm. And before we even started, nothing could have prepared us for what God would do and how he would make things fall into place.
This is a major key. Listen, we're going to do a whole video.
Yeah, we're going to do a breakdown. Or you guys let us know if you want to break down, because, I mean, it's a lot. Mm-hmm. But pretty much, we moved back to our home state in the pandemic, 2020. Yeah, 2020.
Yeah.
And no one was going anywhere in 2020, so we were saving like buku money because we couldn't do anything but stay home and work. So we were saving buku money, and so we moved in November of 2020, and we were trying, and then 2021 came around, And I was working my full-time job, and again, we were in a pandemic and everybody was just working. So I just figured, okay, let me just pick up a part-time job for me to do on the side, because I can't really go anywhere. All I can do is work. And I talked to him about it, and he was like, yeah, that sounds pretty cool to me. Like, go for it, right? So I picked up this part-time job, not knowing that it would change our life forever. So this part-time job, I don't want to name the job right now, but if you guys want me to do another video, I may name it, or I'll put some jobs in the description, like some companies that pay for IVF that have like really good IVF benefits. I'll put that in the description.
But just to jump in here, this is a part-time job that paid for several $1,000s, at least $30,000 in IVF plus the birth, and you can name tech companies, and now a lot of companies, they're using fertility benefits to attract talent. So she was able to get a job at a tech company part-time, but she got full-time like benefits. Yeah. So when we thought about IVF, it was like, okay, we're gonna use my insurance, and then we started researching your benefits and Progeny. And we need to do a whole situation on Progeny.
Like a whole video that we need
Progeny
to make.
is the vendor that her company partnered with. And then when we had the first consultation, she said, yeah, everything's covered. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Everything.
So we did have to pay for like
medicine.
Some medicine.
Extra medicine.
But it wasn't like thousands of dollars. So maybe it was like
hundreds.
$150 here, or maybe.
But the big stuff,
$100 there.
Yeah. The big stuff was covered 100% from a part-time job.
Right, and remember, I had my full-time, and then I had this part-time job, and the part-time job. And okay, so before I don't think I was on your insurance.
Yeah.
And then I decided to look into my insurance. And so when I looked into my insurance in 2022. I figured, okay, let me just go. It was only, my deductible was only $500. If you're going through IVF, you're going to meet your deductible like this on a $500 plan. So we were able to do that, and
it changed everything. Because
it changed a lot.
Like even like I remember one time when we got to like the genetic testing, we thought we had to pay out of pocket, but we called Project. No, that's covered as well. Like we paid for it, and they gave us our money back. They stopped the payment on my car.
It was like $3,000 for like it was a lot.
And they said no, it's covered.
Right,
so,
I remember that.
Yeah. So,
and also I had to do. So this is how I knew I had good insurance, because before we did any of the IVF, we had to do like the pre-testing, like MRI. So I did my MRI, and the lady, the front lady, she looked at my insurance and she said, "Where do you work?" And it was right there on the paper, and she was like, "Oh my God, this insurance is great." And then I went home and I told Marcus, I was like, "The lady says I have good insurance, so let me get into it."
Yeah, it paid for everything. You have a background in just understanding insurance plans as well. So
right, yeah.
That part-time job paid for 2 full IVF cycles. All the testing, the medicine, all the procedures, like
I'm gonna go back and see like how much we paid out of pocket, but I can say that it probably wasn't like I have to go back and I'll let you guys know, but yes, that's how we paid. And we both are in the tech industry, and his company, his insurance was not even it couldn't touch my, it's like unmatched.
Yeah. And the thing about it now in 2024, more companies, and I think infertility started to become a more common topic. People have been dealing with it silently, but employers, so if you're looking for a new job or you're about to start it, go down to that very bottom and look and see about the fertility benefits. And if you see they have things, if Progeny is there, or we'll cover it, we'll reimburse it, like that's a huge way to attract talent.
Yeah.
And highly recommend you look at a part-time tech job to get the benefits.
Okay, so stay tuned on.
We just giving y'all just little snippets. We got more to give. Keep commenting, like it, share it with somebody you know going through this journey, and we're gonna keep giving each step of the way on this journey.
Yeah, so we'll see you guys on the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see ya.